When my wife looked at me across the kitchen table and said the words, "I'm done with this marriage," I didn't flinch. She expected me to beg, argue, or cry. Instead, I smiled. That single expression caught her off guard, and for a second, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. She had already been unfaithful, already betrayed me, and now she thought she could walk away leaving me broken. But I had other plans. I had known about her cheating long before she confessed her decision. Late-night phone calls, messages hidden under fake names, and her sudden work meetings gave her away. I never confronted her immediately. Instead, I quietly gathered every piece of evidence, screenshots, receipts, and even pictures. I wanted to be prepared for the day she thought she had the upper hand. That day had finally arrived. She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as if she was the one in control. "You'll be fine," she said coldly. Asterisk, "You'll move on, and so will I." Asterisk, I nodded, still smiling, letting her believe I was accepting her choice. But in my mind, I was already seeing how this story would end, with her realizing she had underestimated me completely. The first thing I did was play along. I told her she could have the freedom she wanted, that I wouldn't stand in her way. She looked almost victorious, thinking she had crushed me. What she didn't know was that every lie she had told, every betrayal she had committed, was already documented. I was simply waiting for the right time to reveal it. A week later, she packed her things and moved in with a man she had been seeing behind my back. She didn't hide it. In fact, she seemed proud of it. Friends and family whispered, some even looked at me with pity, thinking I had lost. But I kept my silence, biding my time, waiting for the perfect strike. When the divorce papers came, I didn't fight them. I signed quickly, which surprised her. She thought I wanted out just as much as she did. But behind the scenes, my lawyer was already preparing the case. I submitted the evidence of her infidelity, which not only shifted the sympathy in my favor, but also tilted the financial settlement completely against her. She expected to walk away with half of everything, our house, savings, even part of my business. Instead, she was hit with reality. My lawyer laid out the evidence in front of the judge. Messages, hotel bills, pictures, everything. Her confident face crumbled that day, the smirk she once wore vanishing when she realized she wasn't the one in control anymore. The court sided with me, granting me full ownership of the house and majority of the assets. She was left with far less than she expected. Her so-called lover, who once whispered promises to her, wasn't thrilled about sharing bills and responsibilities with someone who no longer had the wealth she thought she'd take from me. It didn't take long for cracks to appear in their perfect relationship. I heard from mutual acquaintances that he had already begun pulling away, tired of her complaints and lack of resources. She had given up a stable life, respect, and comfort, all for someone who wasn't willing to carry her when things got hard. One afternoon, she showed up at my door, her face pale and tired. She tried to talk, to explain, to maybe find some sympathy. I listened, but the same smile I had worn the day she ended our marriage was still on my face. I told her calmly that I wished her well, but there was no space for her in my life anymore. She left with her head down, and I knew she finally understood the weight of her choices. She had traded loyalty for lies, love for betrayal, and stability for emptiness. The revenge wasn't loud or violent. It was quiet, calculated, and complete. Friends who once pitied me now praised me for how I handled everything. I didn't need to scream or fight. I just needed patience and a plan. She destroyed herself with her own decisions, and I simply stepped aside to let it happen. Looking back, I don't regret smiling that day when she said she was done with me. That smile wasn't just an expression, it was a promise to myself. A promise that I wouldn't let betrayal define me. Instead, I turned it into strength, and in the end, I walked away free, while she was left to face the ruins she created. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.